desperate for purpose in his old age, a lost love returning to his life, a villain who believes he's doing Spider-Man a favor by cementing his legacy in his own way. This is Spider-Man Rebellion, a Spider-Man fan film idea I've had for many years. It's been brewing in my head for so long, and although I don't have the creative talent to bring it to life myself, I still want to share it with everyone here. And as you'll see, there are some very strange and new ideas in this story that I hope surprise some of you in a good way. Our story begins sometime in October of 2005. Peter Parker is now 58 years old and has been Spider-Man for about 43 years. Already I can see some of you are confused as to why I made Peter so old. Well, it's because I just love the idea of meeting a classic Spider-Man later in his life. You see, in this world, Spider-Man debuted in 1962, the date of his original appearance in the comics. This means that Spider-Man was active in the 60s and continued his career up until the mid to late 2000s. I thought it would be cool to explore a story in which Spider-Man was never rebooted through a major universe reset. Instead, he's a man of his original era. How would we remember a hero such as this? I imagine that in this world, people go back to archival footage and photos of Spider-Man in his youth. As the decades went by, thousands of videos and photos of the hero accumulated. Your parents either grew up with them or were nostalgic, looking through old media. Anyways, we see him getting ready for work. On the TV, a news station plays about Spider-Man's latest save. The day prior, he had saved some people from a burning building. However, the news talks about how it's a far cry from his glory days. You see, in this world, many of Spider-Man's classic villains are no longer around. Characters like Dr. Octopus and the Vulture have passed away from old age. The Green Goblin hasn't been seen for a few years by this point. Mysterio left New York to pursue his villainous ventures elsewhere. The rest are likely dead, imprisoned, or simply lost interest in their villainy. Sandman is great though. He worked out all his problems years ago and now runs a bodega nearby. On the news, the commentators say that Spider-Man is no longer as strong as he used to be. He is somehow slower, less powerful, and his reaction speed has dramatically decreased over the years. Peter makes his way outside, heading towards his high school teaching job a few blocks away. He greets his neighbors and the local bodega owner, who hates him for whatever reason.
I hate that guy.
Peter works as a chemistry teacher at Midtown High, and he's a relatively well-liked teacher for the times he shows up on time. As many have noticed though, Peter does overall seem unfulfilled. He loves his job, sure, but it feels like this was not the path he wanted to go down, as if he had to settle for where he was for whatever reason. After school, Peter begins his regularly scheduled patrol as Spider-Man. He does the usual you'd expect, going around various neighborhoods and doing whatever he can, whether that's helping people move their heavy furniture, carrying heavy groceries of the elderly, preventing fights from breaking out, and that's it? It's strange, these latter parts of Peter's life were not as exciting and eventful as they were in his youth. Back when he was younger, around the late 60s to mid 80s, his life was much more exciting. Battles of epic proportions, stressful twists and turns, and journeys across space and time, fighting fantastical creatures. Nowadays it's been pretty slow. The occasional fight here, running borderline errands there. Honestly, it feels more like Spider-Man has become the errand boy as of late. Nobody really expects much out of him. In fact, it almost feels like the citizens of New York pity him, giving him various tasks to make him feel useful. Of course, Peter can't prove that's what they're doing, but it's just a feeling he gets, alongside his spider sense, which seems to tingle ever so slightly when these feelings return. It's been many decades as Spider-Man, but it really does feel like his time has come to an end. Not because he is dying or anything, but because his heroic purpose has seemingly run its course. Nobody seems to need him anymore, and Peter is desperately clinging on to the glory days. There was a time where he felt that he was the most loved an important person in this city. But the times of heroism and TV appearances are long past. Yet Peter cannot let go, because what other purpose can he really have in life? The promise he made his uncle all those years ago is all he truly has.
Yo, Pete, did you forget what day it is today again?
Peter gets a call. It's his friend Harry Osborn, reminding him of their weekly hangout. Peter swings his way towards Harry's small apartment, where they hang out for the night. Though Harry is clearly passive-aggressive, Oscorp was seized by another company after Norman Osborn's disappearance. Harry was run out, though he did have enough money to live the rest of his life peacefully. There's someone else here, a woman with crimson red hair, a girl he hadn't seen for 8 years by this point. Mary Jane Watson was a pretty well-established and famous model and actress, and only recently did she win an award for her performance in the latest drama. Her being here was a surprise, considering how busy she's been lately. She's here to catch up with both her friends, as the hectic life she's lived really makes her miss the simpler times. The times when she, Peter, and Harry were just a couple of kids finding enjoyment in each other's company. Peter is quite flustered to see her. A few years ago, he was in a serious relationship with her, but seemingly his time as Spider-Man really has torn a rift in their relationship. And since she was really starting to get opportunities in her life, they both decided to end things respectfully and with mutual understanding. After the night, Peter decides to walk MJ to the station. It's here where they talk about how their lives turned out. MJ is happy for Peter, who found a stable work, given how often he got fired from jobs. The two hit it off right away, with Peter's sarcasm and cheesy honesty, with MJ's snappy dialogue really bringing them back to their time together. Over the course of the movie, the two would hang out more and more until that spark of their old relationship really begins to return. MJ and Peter do still love each other deep down, and they wish they could be together again. But there's always the fear that their relationship will collapse like it did before. MJ, however, takes the initiative and asks whether Peter and she can try again. Peter, of course, comes up with many excuses for why they can't and how his life as Spider-Man would just get in the way once again, causing a pseudo-argument to start. In the heat of the moment, MJ blurts out that since nobody needs him as Spider-Man anymore, there's no reason for him to keep running away, no reason for him to keep making excuses. Something that deeply hurts Peter, as he feels here that even MJ is no longer enchanted by the person he used to be, taking pity on what he had become. Of course, she didn't mean it in that way, but Peter at this point in his life is really sensitive when it comes to his supposed worth in the city. He especially does not want to hear it from someone, no, people who lived comfortably and achieved all they ever wanted, not burdened by decades-old responsibility. In a way, Peter feels that he got cursed all those years ago. Does he feel bitter? Does he feel resentment for what happened, for the life he had to live? Who knows? And of course, it's not his true feelings, but you know sometimes those darker feelings come forward. Peter swings off, again leaving to stop whatever crimes he may or may not find. He will prove that he's still useful. This is his rebellion. Across the world, Sergei Kravenov is hunting new prey, a man-eating lion that legends have spoken of for many decades. However, as time does, this lion is a shadow of its former self. Nobody's truly scared of it anymore, and is now only a subject of pity. Kraven gives this lion its last honorable and intense battle. They fight it out, and Kraven eventually overpowers the lion and ends it peacefully. Kraven in this world is quite different from what we expect. In his youth, he did seek out glory and the thrill of battle, but as the years had gone on, his philosophy had changed. Kraven became a famous nature conservationist and zookeeper who was the main figure behind an immensely popular TV series. Kraven would track down and provide facts about various mythological and legendary beasts. After the airing of these episodes, these creatures would either mysteriously disappear or be found dead. It's not clear why this was happening, but it gave the show a reputation of being cursed, leading to its decline. Kraven, after his exciting youth, is now an undertaker of lost legends. Kraven is known for hunting legendary beasts that have outlived their legend, now a mere shadow of their former selves, giving them one last battle rather than letting them fade into obscurity. It's not clear where this pity came from. Perhaps he himself is projecting onto these creatures, afraid that he too will fade away, and so he grants mercy to those beings he hopes will not experience the same fate as himself. Over the years, Kraven came to idolize Spider-Man through his escapades. They have slowly saw Spider-Man's decline, his notoriety fading with time, stuck in a limbo of his life. For whatever reason, Kraven feels a pull towards Spider-Man. Perhaps he is once again projecting himself onto him, reflecting on his own life and his loss of fame over the years. Kraven believes that Spider-Man is begging for release, to feel like he's seen and to feel like someone has given him the attention and gravity he sought for years. Kraven will end his rebellion. We cut back to New York. Over the past couple of weeks, Spider-Man has been doing the usual, but it's honestly been pretty uneventful. Still, the people of New York have noticed that he's a bit more desperate as of late, more impatient and too eager to help. MJ feels that she is responsible for how he's been acting and has tried to get in touch with him, but Peter is actively avoiding her. He's essentially shut her out of his life, something not too different from what happened years prior. During a Spider-Man patrol, he hears about a strange man holding a spear and demanding to see him. Spider-Man arrives and comes face to face with Kraven. Kraven tries to sympathize with Spider-Man, attempting to state that he understands his plight and has come to give him what he wants. Kraven attacks, throwing spears, knives, poison darts, and many other things at Spider-Man. He's attacking with a strength and speed that Spider-Man has not encountered in years. The battle continues through the streets of New York and through various buildings as well. Spider-Man is desperately trying to fight Kraven and does manage to do some damage, but it's clear that Kraven is much more powerful. Remember, Spider-Man had lost most of his strength, and this Kraven has maintained most of his power, likely due to his younger age. Spider-Man tries everything he can to defeat Kraven, but he just can't, eventually forcing Peter to run. But no matter where he runs or hides, Kraven appears close by, like he's tracking him by scent. Kraven is like the ultimate predator against him, someone who feels like he has infinite stamina and intent that in his old age, Spider-Man cannot deal with. No longer able to run and reassess, Kraven corners him once and for all. Kraven, standing over him, tries to impale him with a spear until he's suddenly rammed by a Porsche and sent flying into the bodega guy's store.
I hate that guy.
The driver is MJ, who quickly grabs Peter and places him in the car, then drives away desperately as Kraven tries to give chase. However, he's stopped by the citizens of New York, who block Kraven's path, allowing for MJ to escape. MJ takes Peter to Harry's place, where she treats him for his injuries. When Peter wakes up, smelling of really powerful perfume, MJ tries to have a heart-to-heart along with Harry. They reminisce on their time together as kids, the drama and pain they all went through, MJ's experiences with her father and desperation she felt to make something of herself, Harry's initial jealousy towards Peter when they were younger, and Peter realizing his own mortality breaks down under all the emotional weight. His experience with Kraven made him realize that he was no longer capable of doing what he had done in the past. He no longer had a purpose. Peter spends the next couple of days living his life. Thanks to concealing his scent, he no longer has to worry about Kraven, but somehow he feels like he's running away from his responsibility. Kraven is not exactly hurting anyone to get to him, but Spider-Man is clearly avoiding a confrontation out of fear. He tries to live his life normally, but you can see that Spider-Man's presence is truly missed in the city. The citizens of New York are clearly sorely missing him. Even the bodega guy is not acting like himself. It all culminates in a dream sequence where Peter reminisces on all his battles from his youth as an apparition of Uncle Ben tells him of his responsibility against the protest of the apparitions of MJ and Harry, whose voices are drowned out by the mighty vestige of Uncle Ben. Peter goes to confront Kraven on the bridge, no longer able to turn the other way. He's not fighting Kraven because he's a danger to others, but because Kraven represents a part of himself that he so viciously wants to reject. He has to defeat him, to defeat his own insecurity. Peter, in a fit of rage, tries to desperately fight Kraven, his anger allowing for some of his old strength to return. However, like before, it's not long until Kraven begins to overpower him once again. Ultimately, Spider-Man is defeated. Kraven thanks Spider-Man for the fight as he prepares for his final blow. However, before that, Kraven is surrounded by many citizens of New York. Men, women, children, and the elderly, everyone that Spider-Man had inspired throughout the decades. They blocked the path of Kraven. Kraven, in all his years hunting prey, had never seen such a thing. He has lived his life believing that he was doing the right thing, that this is what the creatures wanted. He finds purpose in these actions he does, finds meaning. So why? Why are so many people desperate to protect the shell of a man? MJ and Harry step forward, confronting Kraven. They make their own speech about the difference between Spider-Man and him. Spider-Man is loved. He's idolized by the city he's protected all those years. Sure, his heroics are no longer needed, but the reason they're not needed is because Spider-Man gave everyone the courage and the bravery to fight and stand up for themselves, to look out for each other and help whenever they can. It was their responsibility instilled upon them by Spider-Man throughout the decades. Kraven is taken aback by these people's resolve, their pride, and their rejection of his beliefs. This was New York City's rebellion. The story ends with Kraven reconsidering his path in life, leaving back to his home. Peter, seeing the love and adoration of the people, decides to retire as Spider-Man. Sure, he still helps from time to time, but now he knows he's loved, and that the people of New York have the courage and the strength to fight for their own justice. Right now, he has some tests to mark and some relationships to rekindle, especially the girl he's been in love with all his life. His rebellion is over, but it's sparked a new era in the city. Okay, so that was Spider-Man Rebellion. Of course, the plot is not perfect, and I'm sure many of you can find things you'd tweak or completely change. Even I have some things I'd rework. But overall, I think this is the type of story that would resonate with me deeply, and I'd love to hear what you all think of this narrative. Are there things you like, dislike? What would you change? Let me know in the comments, and check out my other fan-made story, Batman Black Box, when you have the time.